Good evening, everyone. This is T Wagner coming back at you with another podcast called The Shadow Side. Today, we're going to be talking about, this is basically a podcast that's talking about military and, just military issues, right? Today, we're going to be talking about SHARP and EO, all right? So, SHARP, let me go ahead and explain what SHARP actually means. SHARP is sexual harassment, assault, response, and prevention. Said the Army Sexual Harassment, Assault, Response, and Prevention Program is the Army's integrated, proactive effort to end sexual harassment and sexual assault within our ranks. Sexual harassment and sexual assault have no place in the Army. Okay, now let's go ahead and go to EO. EO is an equal opportunity. So what is this? The Army's Equal Opportunity Program formulates, directs, and sustains a comprehensive effort to maximize human potential to ensure fair treatment for the military personnel, family members, and civilians without regard to race, color, gender, religion, age, disability, or national origin. So, why do I bring this up? The reason why I bring this stuff up is because, for one, excuse me, this stuff is just a really big issue. It's a really big issue, like I said, within the Army and how this stuff actually affects soldiers. Okay, it affects soldiers and their families. Okay, for example, like I said, I was incarcerated for 6 months. I was just recently released about a month ago, and so you know, me and other guys in there, we actually talked about a lot of subjects and like a lot of issues on how this stuff should be addressed, whatever. And one of the issues that kept on coming up was the SHARP and EO program. Okay, because when you actually think about it, these programs are actually put in place to be able to help all of us out, not just the female soldiers. But it seems like that the female soldiers are just the ones who actually benefit from these programs all the time. Okay, because I really do understand why they harp on these programs, the way that they do. Like I said, this stuff it starts all the way from the top and it trickles all the way down to the lower levels and like the lower echelons, like the company levels, um, battalion and brigade levels and stuff like that. So I understand it, and really one of the main reasons why they actually started this was because of a murder of a young lady. I think it was a PSC. I don't want to say her name, but I think this stuff actually happened down there in Fort Hood, and like it was a really big uproar about what was going on. So I believe that's the reason why they don't want to overlook anything. All right, they just want to take every precaution that they can. But at the same time, what they fail to realize is that they're actually hurting a lot of male soldiers because a lot of male soldiers are the victims of this. But see, they don't actually look at it. All they're focused on is just what the females are going through and how they can actually be helped. For example, I did some research and um, I looked up some of the things off the internet, and it was these one guys uh, called Save Our Heroes, right? And they said the title of it was "The United States versus You: What to Understand, Do, and Avoid If You Are Falsely Accused in the Military." Shout out to the authors. We're actually the board of directors. I don't want to say their name just to protect these guys' identity. But these guys, they really seem like that they're doing a really positive cause for all of the guys who've been falsely accused. Okay, so the whole point of their organization is just to make sure that these falsely accused soldiers are being taken care of and treated humanely. Okay. So, for example, like this is something that the authors actually put in the preface. They said the authors who have provided an opinion as to the current state of military justice when allegations have been levied that involve some type of sexual misconduct based on firsthand experience, hundreds of case reviews that include the review of official court documents and interviews with more than 1,000 falsely accused service members and their families. These opinions are further validated by discussions and communications with current and former JAG Corps personnel. Consequently, it can be concluded that these opinions are based on common sense and firsthand realities, which is so true. And like the reason why I say that is because I know firsthand how this stuff actually works, right? So, like I said, I was in the military for almost 20 years. Um, I was in equal opportunity rep. Okay, I went to school for it and everything, and so one thing that they did harp on was this, treat everybody the same, treat everybody fairly, right? But at the same time, if you end up getting in trouble or something comes down the pipe, whatever, it seems like all that stuff just goes out the window. Okay, they don't care who you are, they don't care what you've done. Okay, it's just that you're guilty until proven innocent, right? So these are like some actually key examples that I want some people to understand, when you're actually going through this type of thing, right? So they've also stressed that, okay, there's been a recent significant uptick in reports of sexual misconduct, not because there are more instances, but rather than the victim's compensation benefit package for those who have made false allegations of sexual misconduct have created a system ripe for abuse. There are very few mechanisms in place to determine the validity of some type of sexual misconduct prior to the administration and distribution of benefits. Okay, so you mean to tell me that if the so-called accuser know that they're going to get taken care of, right? They can just say this stuff without any problem at all. No consequences, no retributions, no anything like that. Okay, because like a lot of them, they actually do say that stuff because they know that they will be taken care of, right? Okay, you don't believe me? They said actual transitional compensation packages for civilian military spouses or significant others who make allegations of some type of sexual misconduct can be in the area between 200,000 to $300,000 distributed over a period of 2 to 5 years, and depending if there are minor children involved. So at the same time, this does not just quote unquote affect the woman, right? If there's kids involved, they can actually say that the so-called accuser, have done something wrong to the kids to where now they get extra compensation for the kids. When not 10 times out of 10, the kids might not even have anything to do with it. Okay. We're just going based off what the female is saying. But at the same time, like I said, they can actually say, well, my kids were abused, my kids don't feel comfortable and everything like that. And then they can make it seem like that everyone is just at fault. Okay, well, the so-called accuser is just at fault. So therefore now this person has protection, this person has medical benefits, and this person has compensation, right? Basically milking the government. And the government doesn't like any of this stuff at all, right? Because a lot of the times they might end up going, coming at the government saying, well, you didn't take care of me, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. And one thing the government hates is negative publicity. They hate that stuff with a passion. Okay. Because if you think about that stuff, right, the army or any military service, they always try to be looked at in the best possible light. You know, I always make it seem like that they're doing everything right to take care of their so-called personnel, but that's just not the case. They will support a non-military personnel before they will actually support their own. Okay, I want you guys to actually check this out. It said one of the most common scenarios involving false allegations of sexual misconduct are those that arise from high conflict divorce proceedings, and in many cases, allegations also involve the alleged victims of minor children. There are hosts of reasons why this occurs, such as child custody considerations, financial incentives, and psychological dysfunctions, right? So they're saying this stuff, right? So while the so-called accuser is living their life scot free, getting off, nothing's happening to them. Excuse me. The so-called accuser is going through pure hell. Okay, the so-called accuser is getting flagged, which means that he might not be able to go to school. Okay, his life is put on hold. His life is just in limbo, right? They don't see that stuff. Okay, but they don't understand how this stuff actually affects the accused psychologically, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. Matter of fact, I knew some guys, like I said, they were in, we were all incarcerated together. And a lot of these guys are telling me their stories. It's pretty sad stories. Like, they're telling me this stuff, and it's just I realized we all had one thing in common. When we were all going through our court martials, when we were all going through our problems with the union and stuff like that, it's like we had one common denominator. Everyone seemed to overindulge in alcohol. Everyone did. Everyone got drunk. Everyone was just acting a fool. Okay. And it's not like that we actually wanted to be like that, but at the same time, if they're keeping you in limbo, they're not telling you anything. They're just only giving you the bare minimum of things. Because see, the attorneys in the chain of command communicate all the time. So they actually know what's going on. But the thing is, they just don't want to tell you right then and there. Okay. I don't know if they think that, you know, it's easier that way, or they might think that I don't know what the whole thought process is. I don't know if that's just the whole protocol of how the military actually works, or I don't know what's actually going on with that. So it's just it's kind of confusing, when you actually think about it, because you like, okay, well, I'm thinking that these guys are supposed to have my back. They're supposed to, be there for me if I'm going through my tough time. Well, it's just not the truth. Okay. And like I said, the reason why I do these podcasts because I just want to put the word out. I just want to keep people from actually going down the same path that me and a lot of my friends that actually went through. Okay. Because when you're going through this stuff, there's nothing comfortable about it. Okay. You're going to feel betrayed. You're going to be angry. Okay. You're going to be frustrated because, like I said, I think I said this stuff in the last one. You served your country. Okay. Only to be betrayed by your country. Okay. And this is something that I just want a lot of the young and up and coming guys who's thinking about joining the military, or who will possibly join the military, to know, okay, you have to keep your head on the swivel. You have to be careful about everything that it is that you do and say in the military. You have to, okay? Because like I said, these programs ought to be put in place to protect everyone. But what they don't tell you is that if you end up getting in some kind of trouble, all of these statutes and standards and stuff like this stuff goes out the window. That's just how the stuff is. That's how the stuff works, right? And so I want to share a couple other scenarios with you guys. Okay, it's another common scenario involved the breakup of a relationship, either long term or short term, and sometimes one night stands that do not develop into a long term relationship, commonly referred to as regret rape. In many instances, alcohol is involved in varying degrees, but one thing is virtually certain, and that is that it is biased view that the sole responsibility lies within the male. The sole responsibility lies within the male, who is presumed guilty if an issue of alcohol impairment is a component of the incident. That right there is a mouthful. Okay. So basically, what they're saying is that if alcohol is involved and I'm a guy, I'm automatically guilty no matter what. I'm automatically guilty. You know, I know, like, when I was going through my stuff, right? I went through my problems, whatever, and at the same time, it wasn't like, alcohol wasn't a factor, but the prosecution tried to make it seem like that was just my main motivator on the reason why all this stuff was going on. Wasn't true. Now the scenario was actually true for me because, like I said, even with that, I was dealing with this lady. Okay, we had broken up, whatever. I saw her out. We end up getting together, and then, make a long story short, when I actually told her that this relationship was not going to be repaired, then that's when the whole regret rape actually happened. The regret rape happened. And I know I'm not the first person. I know I'm not the last that's actually going to deal with this type of stuff. Okay. Because like I said, I ran into many other guys who shared their stories with me, and they actually told me that, hey man, look, you're definitely not alone. Okay. I went through something similar, like, actually, man, no, my case was a lot more worse than yours. Okay. Cause like I said, I wasn't in there for too long, but at the same time, I know guys that were in there for years. Okay, there was some guys I met, and they actually had lengthy sentences. Okay, and when they said that they didn't do it, I really do believe them. I really do believe that they did not do what they were so called accused of. It just makes no sense because even when you're in the system, they say that 80 to 90% of the crimes in there are sexual assault or sexual harassment cases. Come on now. No. That makes no sense at all. You mean to tell me that every person came in there is guilty of a sexual assault crime? No. Because at the same time, if the military, if it's a sexual assault case, they try their best to go harder on that stuff. Okay. They're really, really out to get people because they think, okay, well, we can't have any of that stuff. Not there's no tolerance, no place for that stuff in our army. But at the same time, the stuff it goes on more than what people think it does. Like for example, like I said, I used to be a rep in equal opportunity rep. Okay. But then it's like, you get to talking to some people and stuff like that. You get to talking to some females, whatever, you end up being friends with some of them and they might tell you these disturbing details. They might tell you stuff like, "Oh yeah, son, I lied on this guy because that we were having an affair, but then on top of that, I wanted more, but he didn't want to give me more because he was married, and he would go home to his wife, and I just didn't like that. So at the same time, I would go ahead and get him in trouble. What? And you would say this? So it's like, I would have no choice but to report him. You can't come on now. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't just destroy somebody's life just because he won't up and leave his family just for you. You wrong from the get go from actually getting with the guy if you know the man's situation. And then on top of that, just because he won't do what you want him to do, that's cause for you to destroy his life. That's not cool. It's not cool at all. Definitely not cool. But like I said, I had stories for days about how people have lied and these systems are put into place to try to protect the soldiers, but at the same time, once the stuff gets into the wrong hands of these soldiers, whatever, they just abuse it. And see, like a lot of them actually know how to get over on the system. I'm telling you, there's so much fraud, there's so much corruption going on in there, and but like I said, this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this stuff right now because I want to be able to alert people, mostly the guys. I want to be able to alert the guys and let them know, hey, this is what's going on. So please be careful. Okay. I just want to keep on sharing all these scenarios because it has a lot of good information in this. Like I said, it's called Save Our Heroes. Google it and check it out. Like I said, these guys they provide a lot of great information. Okay, they said like another common scenario was involving service members who make false allegations of sexual harassment or sexual assault or applications for the Veterans Administration benefits for PTSD due to military sexual trauma. So at the same time, if they claim, if they say that, oh, I've been sexually assaulted, or, you know, I don't feel comfortable, whatever, they actually get benefits. They actually get medical benefits and they actually get compensation. I want to say it's like $3,500 a month and then a lifetime of medical benefits. The stuff, it doesn't even have to be true. Just the simple fact that they actually said it, that carries more weight than somebody who's been working for you for 20 years or even 10 years. It carries more weight from somebody who doesn't even work for the organization. That right there should, alert some red flags. That right there should make people really, really think, about what it is that, are you thinking about joining this organization? I would be hesitant if I was really thinking about joining the military and I heard this. I would really, really be hesitant about really joining this organization because, like I said, all they have to do is just claim sexual harassment or sexual assault or applications for Veterans Administration benefits for PTSD due to military sexual trauma. We all know that PTSD exists, right? PTSD normally exists. Well, the most common form of PTSD is in war. Okay, I know a lot of people who actually have PTSD, and PTSD is very, very common in war. After you get back from war, you deal with a lot of psychological issues, a lot of mental issues, and stuff like that. I know a lot of people who actually dealt with that stuff. I've been deployed several times, and I've dealt with this stuff. But like I said, but they can say they actually are qualified for these benefits from sexual harassment or sexual assault. The reason why I have a problem with this stuff because I know how they lie. They lie a lot. They lie a lot just to be taken care of from the government for the rest of their lives. That's just what they do. And it says another one common scenario is when service members, almost always female, almost always female, make an unrestricted report of some type of sexual misconduct when no one is identified. One unrestricted report is filed either through military investigators or the Family Advocacy Program. The accuser then applies for VA benefits for PTSD due to military sexual trauma. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. I remember like this one guy was telling me, hey, he had the Stellar Soldier. This guy, he was just a really, really good guy, really high speed. That's a term that, they use in the army. So somebody who's really, really squared away. And this guy, he was really high speed. He really cared about what he did. He was going to the promotion boards, getting promoted. He was winning other boards like Soldier of the Month boards and stuff like that. And then one of the things, this one other girl who was in the same unit as him, this girl ended up, she liked him, right? But she was dealing with a lot of other guys, right? A lot of other guys that wasn't any good for her. And she knew it. This guy, he had a very promising career. I think he was talking about being a sergeant major, or I mean, he was just on the roll. He was going fast. Okay. But then, like to make a long story short, this lady, this young girl, she ended up getting with this guy. Like I said, this guy, he was a man of substance. He was intelligent, educated, very good at his job. He knew what it is that he wanted to do with his life. And then at the same time, she ended up getting with this guy. And, like I said, she been dogged out by all these other guys. They never cared about her. They dogged her out. They had sex with her. They'll leave her and stuff like that. But she ended up getting with this guy, right? And he ended up caring about her. He ended up wanting to do right by her and stuff like that. And all she could do, she ended up messing this guy's career. She said that he raped her. She said he raped her. So what that meant, okay, it goes back to what I'm saying right here, right? So if you're talking about sexual harassment, or sexual assault, or applications for, you know, military sexual trauma, right? Rape is included in there too, right? So she said this stuff, so she qualified for all that stuff, right? So they actually end up letting her out the military. They end up kicking this guy out, taking away all his benefits and everything like that based off of something that this liar said. Like this is real talk. This is real issues right here. They end up taking away everything that this guy worked so hard for based off of something that she said. It was just hearsay. This guy didn't even have a dog. He didn't even have a fight based off of something that she said. They just believed. They just automatically believed it. They just said, okay, well, because you said it, it must be true. No, no, that's not the case. So she said this stuff and she actually got this guy kicked out. That's just the type of power that they have. So, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I said that these programs are put in place to try to help soldiers overall, but really it's only just to help females. Okay. It really, really makes you think because you ask yourself, how in the world do they how in the world do they get away with this stuff? Because you're saying this stuff, but it's just not adding up. It's just not adding up at all. And I just want to continue reading on from the story and everything like that. It said that these applications are given little scrutiny and are processed almost overnight with an initial disability rating of at least 50%, sometimes 70%, and in some cases 100%. Those applications are placed at the top of the list of service members who have had a traumatic injury in combat scenarios, traumatic brain injury, or loss of a limb or the significant injury are placed below claims of PTSD due to MST. So you mean to tell me, because like I said, I've been deployed, I've seen this stuff. So somebody who actually suffers from PTSD from downrange, which is, you're deployed, right? Who have lost a limb or eyesight, you mean to tell me that their injuries are placed below someone who claims that they got sexually assaulted or sexually harassed? Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. But this is just what it is. I mean, it goes back to always supporting the females. It always go. It's just like a boomerang. It always goes back to supporting them on what it is that they want to do. Okay, how they feel about the situation. That is oh my goodness. That right there says a mouthful. It's crazy. And then on top of this, they say it is impossible to make a determination of how many false and fraudulent claims have been made, as there are no mechanisms in place for making those determinations. That just goes to show you how much they lie and abuse the system in order to make the system bend to their will. They can say whatever they want to say as long as they're in favor, as long as they get what they want to get. That's not cool. That's not cool. Any attempts by advocacy organizations to get the DoD, Department of Defense, to try and ascertain the level of fraud are usually met with immediate accusations of victim blaming. Well, what the hell else are you supposed to do? They lie. Victim blaming. They said the authors opine that the fraud in the VA system involving PTSD claims due to MST, which is the military sexual trauma, are in the hundreds of millions of dollars. That just so if it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars, think about how many women actually say that stuff on a day-to-day basis. Think about how many of them actually say that stuff on a day-to hundreds of millions of dollars. That's crazy. This is oh my God. See, I knew that this stuff was a problem. But see, I'm glad I actually did my research because now I'm seeing how frightening this stuff really is. Shout out to Reggie Wagner. Appreciate it, man. And this, they said it's in the hundreds of, oh my Jesus. So it's like this, like I said, this stuff don't even have to be true. This stuff does not, it does not even have to be true. Just if they say the stuff, they ought, the DOD, Department of Defense, they automatically believe it. They automatically, without question. Okay, if you say he raped you, then he raped you. I got it. No, come on, y'all. We have got to do better than this. I'm telling you. Just bear with me. Bear me. I'm telling you, I have a lot of other information. I mean, I want to go ahead and get to. They said the fraud is so pervasive and bold that there are more than 24 various websites and Facebook pages that instruct those making false claims, tips or instructions on how to make these false claims. So they're actually giving these women instruction on how to do this stuff. They actually giving these women instruction. Okay, girl, look, this is how this is how you say this, or this is how you go about and you approach this situation, right? They're actually getting instructed on how to use and abuse this system. And the people act like that they don't have a clue about what's going on. They don't have a clue. I don't know. It really struck a nerve with me because hundreds of millions of dollars. Let's say I know guys in jail right now. I know guys in jail right now, completely innocent. Okay, but based off of a lie that a woman said is the reason why they're serving years in prison right now, based off of a lie. And that woman is going on with her life. She's not worrying about that guy. She's not worrying about anything else. She's wearing all she's doing. She's living scot free off the government, and everything is good for her. But at the same time, if a man, we are going to get accused. You gonna have to go to prison, right? You got to go to prison for one, right? Because the government, for one, is going to get that time out of you, right? If somebody says something about you, the government will get that time out of you. They don't care who you are, okay? And then on top of that, like I said, I believe the compensation for a woman who actually says this stuff is about $3,500 a month plus free medical care. Free medical care. Now think about that. If you think about all these women, think about maybe how if you got 10 to 15 women doing this stuff a week or heck, even a month, whatever, $3,500 a month for about 3 to 5 years, you're already in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So to these women, all this stuff is just a hustle. I can't believe this. It says some making false claims are so bold that they have taken to social media to boast about how they defrauded the system. And some civilian military defense attorneys are now using social media investigators to uncover these facts. I'm glad. Hell, they need to. They really need to. But it's like at the same time, they're trying their best to try to uncover these facts. But where is the retribution when these women are lying like this? So if they find out that these women are lying, what's going to happen to them? Are they just going to keep on getting paid and living their life scot free? No, they need to be locked up. They need to go to jail too. They they need to take their butt straight to jail. This don't make no damn sense because they're actually telling you this is what's going on. They saying we know the system. We using the system against you. There's nothing that you're gonna do about it because therefore you have made it perfectly fine for us to be like this. You have made it fine for us to go out here and cry wolf or cry rape, and nothing's happening to us. They've made it perfectly fine. And they've even said it in here. Continuing on. They said in one case that the authors are aware of a serviceman had his conviction overturned at the appellate stage when social media posts were discovered of the false accuser bragging that she made a false allegation and benefited financially from that false allegation. Well, I'm so glad that the stuff actually got overturned for that guy, because at the same time, that's a very, very rare occurrence. It very rarely happens. Okay, after speaking with a lot of people in at Fort Leavenworth, they say it's probably about maybe 1% that actually happened. Matter of fact, I knew this guy, and his conviction had got overturned. Okay, his stuff got overturned, but the crazy thing is, he spent almost 2 years behind bars before the woman actually came forward and said, I was just lying. I was mad. I was pissed off. Okay. I was very, very scared. Okay. He was going to end up leaving. He was going to do this and he was going to do that. But just the simple fact that she took away 2 years away from this man's life just because she was in her feelings. She took away 2 years of this man's life just because she was pissed off. They got way too much power. They got way too much power to do and say whatever it is that they want to say. And like I said, society and the government has made this stuff okay, and it's not okay. It's not okay that we have to continue dealing with this foolishness. This is just the way that the stuff is. The proof is in the pudding. They even have social media groups that's bragging and boasting, saying, "Okay, well, this is how I defrauded the system." That's just probably only a handful. Think about all the ones that are not coming forward, probably in the hundreds, in the thousands. And see, at the same time, this word is getting out even more. These young women are getting smarter and smarter about how to do this stuff. This is crazy. So, something else they said is that if you believe that you've been falsely accused or in an investigation for some type of false sexual misconduct allegation, it's highly recommended that you retain civilian defense counsel immediately. Let me go ahead and stop right there. Okay, just because you attain civilian counsel does not mean that you're going to get off. I know a colonel in there. This man has spent almost 30 years in the military. He got accused of something called a 120, it was a sexual assault allegation. They got that man about 10 years. Now, this colonels make money. Okay. This guy, he had been in, don't want to say too much about it. I mean, I know the guy, but I don't, want to reveal his identity or anything like that. But like I said, this guy, he spent a substantial amount of time in the military. And then he ended up getting accused of a sexual assault allegation, right? And so he hired civilian counsel. He said he spent about $80,000 on it. And they still gave him 10 years. So just because you retain civilian account, so just because you retain civilian counsel doesn't mean anything. Okay. Like I said, if the military want to get you, they will get you. Okay. Nobody's gonna hide from this. Okay. They always say that, okay, it's highly recommended that you get these items in your possession of your attorney immediately, like a computer, a cell phone, a tablet, or anything like that. And they will be seized by the military law enforcement agents. And if you have evidence on these devices in the form of emails or text messages, they will either be ignored by the military law enforcement agents and prosecutors, or in some instances, evidence will be compromised or destroyed. And all that is, the reason why they do that stuff is because they know that you have evidence that could be detrimental to the other party. That's all that is. Right? It's like CID. Everybody thinks the CID is on their side. CID is not on your side. Okay. Like I said, once you actually come under investigation, whatever, they turn on you just like everybody else. All right. They'll talk to you like they're trying to be your friends. They'll try to, make you feel comfortable and everything like that. But they're a bunch of snakes in the grass too. All right. Always keep your grass cut low. Okay. So you can see all the snakes. And they are exactly what I just said. They just straight up snakes in the grass, because it's crazy when you research this, you look at this stuff, and you might think, oh man, look, this a whole bunch of bull crap or whatever, stuff like this, right? Yeah, it's a whole bunch of bull crap because see, it's not happening to you, or it hasn't happened to you, and God forbid that the stuff actually does happen to you, because if the stuff does happen to you, it's a very, very uncomfortable situation. Okay, it's extremely uncomfortable. Okay. But like I said, I just want to just make sure that everybody is getting this knowledge right. And you take this knowledge, digest it, because I'm not just on here just speaking on this stuff just because I want to speak it. No, this is a real life issue. Okay. And I want to be able to try to help as many people out, right? And to try to alert as many people to how the government is, how the military is. Okay. This is how these guys are. Okay. You don't believe me? Take it from me. If you don't believe me, just know I'm not on here just doing this stuff just for my health. Okay. I'm really trying to put this word out because I want a lot of people to be careful. Okay. Because like I said, this is a very, very uncomfortable situation once you actually get in. And I hope that don't nobody else have to deal with this stuff. That's why I'm actually putting the stuff out here, right? So some other cases like that these guys actually express in their story, they say all cases are unique and there can never be a guaranteed outcome. They said this here's like another common scenario involves a short or long term relationship, usually boyfriend and girlfriend. When it becomes clear that the relationship is ended or has ended, the female will make a claim of sexual assault, even though she may have texted or emailed the accused hundreds of times or over the course of months, implying her affection or love. But once she realizes the relationship is over, she will make a false allegation. Ladies, that right there is the story of my life. I'm telling you. Cause like I said, I don't know if everybody hasn't heard my story or whatever. That's exactly what happened to me. You know, because like I said, right, my career was on the up. I was going to the top. Okay. And then, like to make a long story short, I was at a club, I was hanging out. Excuse me, I was hanging out, dancing, having a good time. I ended up seeing the ex-girlfriend there. And so, you know, she saw me, we started talking, kind of got into it, whatever. But like I said, to make a long story short, we end up doing what we did. Um, and like the next morning, she actually thought that I was going to go ahead and get back with her. When I told her I was not going to get back with her, that's when my life just went straight to hell. It crumbled to pieces. And that's exactly what this scenario is. Like I said, this scenario is the story of my life. Like I said, when it becomes clear that the relationship is ending or has ended, the female will then make a claim of sexual assault, even though she may have texted or emailed the accused hundreds of times or over the course of months, implying her affection or love. But once she realizes the relationship is over, she will make a false allegation. Now, what the hell happens to them when they do this? But it's okay for them to sit up here and do this stuff to us. This is just the norm. This is just the norm. They are allowed to do this stuff to us, but daggone it, we come forward, and we speak on this, we speak out about this stuff, right? What happens to them? There's no consequence. There's no retribution for them. Because like I said, they can say whatever it is that they want to say, and they know for a fact that the government will back them up 100%. Another common scenario involves either a service member or civilian spouse who is trying to avoid a deployment or wishes to be reassigned to a more preferable duty station or location. A surefire method. Listen to this, please. A surefire method is to make a false allegation of sexual misconduct and an immediate transfer is allowed. What the fuck is going on? They said a surefire method is to make a false sexual allegation and an immediate transfer is allowed. When we come into the military, we know there's a possibility that you will go to war, okay? Male, female, you will go to war, okay? Some might go to more dangerous parts than the others, but initially you will go to war. But all she has to do is just say, well, I got raped or I got sexually assaulted. She'll get out of that, plus they'll move her to somewhere else. Y'all, you hear this shit? This this is crazy. I'm telling you. I mean, I'm laughing. You know what I'm saying? But it's like at the same time, I'm dead serious when I'm talking about this stuff. I am dead serious. Okay, it's crazy. It's so like they have so many examples, of how the system is. And like I said, I feel like that I'm actually reliving this, but at the same time, the stuff it needs to be talked about. It has to be talked about. Okay, because like I said, anybody who's I hope some young people actually come across this who's actually thinking about getting into the military, and I want them to actually look at these videos and see, like, look, man, maybe I'm making a mistake. Yeah, yes, you are. You really are. Okay. You have to be careful, man. It's all right. So look, here's another one. Another recent. Here's a more recent case. A female false accuser in the months prior to making a false allegation took to social media, Facebook, and made dozens of entries and statements proclaiming her hatred for her current duty station, wishing to get out. And after a vigorous legal battle, those social media postings resulted in an acquittal at a court martial. I tell you what, boy, these people are something else. They are something else. And like I said, right, this stuff is actually getting worse and worse and worse. I'm telling you, one of my homeboys is sitting up here doing a bid. My dude doing 6 years, 610 for something he did not do. He ended up having sex with the young lady. Okay. He actually admitted to having sex with her, but he didn't sit up here and rape her. Okay. He had to hear the stuff from his chain of command the next day. He thought everything was cool. He thought they were sitting up here, going home. He walked back to her barracks. They hung out or whatever after that. And my man had to sit up here and hear this stuff from his chain of command. They said, like, oh, okay, well, do you know what's going on? He's like, no, man, I don't know what's going on. Said, well, you sexually assaulted somebody last night. He was like, no, the hell I didn't. No, the hell I didn't. They was begging for my man to get 15 years. 15 years for something he did not do. An unblemished, perfect military record. And he had, and they gave my man 6.5 years. I tell you, it's crazy. And like I said, this stuff, it never ever gets any easier, okay? Because like if you actually think about it, right? And like I said, all of us who have been a 411 warriors, we've all experienced this stuff. Because even like these guys talk about this, they say once you're accused, your command will flag you, which means that you're preventing any positive action such as promotion, schools, awards until your case is resolved. Now, I was flagged for almost 2 years. So I didn't really do anything, okay? Because I got tired of it. I was flagged for almost 2 years. They said they will also force you to attend the Family Advocacy Program, FAP, where biased civilian counselors, usually female, will attempt to portray you in a negative light. If y'all think I'm sitting up here lying, goddamn, look at. I hope that y'all can actually see this stuff. I'm telling you, because like I said, all of us have been through this stuff. They said they will force you to attend a Family Advocacy Program where biased civilian counselors, usually female, will attempt to portray you in a negative light. Also, these counselors will state that any talks are confidential, and they are not. That is so damn true. Nothing in the Army is confidential, okay? Nothing in the Army is confidential. They always say, well, all you got to do is just talk to us and trust us and everything. Nah, don't trust none of them, okay? All of them full of crap. They are shared with military prosecutors, and current policies and procedures are in place in which the records of the accused are subject to review by prosecutors, while at the same time, any records of the accuser are denied, and any attempt by defense counsel to obtain those records are violently fought and denied by prosecutors. That is so true. Like I said, I remember I was going through my old stuff, right? They'll force you to go there. They'll force you to sit up here and talk to all these feminist counselors, who claim that they have your best interests at heart. They don't give a damn about you, okay? I'm telling you, as soon as you walk through the door, oh well, I know for a fact he did this. No, the hell you don't. You don't know half of the story. You don't know anything. But like I said, but just because you a man and somehow you had this sexual assault allegation hanging over your head, all of a sudden you wrong for it. No. But like I said, this is how the system is designed. It's designed to pick us apart. It's designed to tear the man down. Okay. It don't matter what we do, they're gonna always believe them. And so I want to continue on this reading. A lot of this stuff. So say during the investigation process, most service members want to trust the chain of command, which we do, because at the same time, at the end of the day, we want our leaders to believe that we're innocent, which we are. They want to prove their innocence and move on with their lives. But most believe that the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, is impartial. And if they are honest and cooperate, those facts are no longer in use. Bullshit. You can't be out here telling these people the damn truth. I'm telling you, you can't. I'm telling you, as much as you want to be honest, as much as you want to be this upright man, you can't be. Because if you are, them maggots, they're gonna take that crap and they're gonna use it against you. They're gonna turn everything they can. It does not matter what you've done in your military career. They're gonna see that stuff and they're gonna use it against you. That's just how it is. I'm telling you. It says that what the falsely accused service member must remember is that in a majority of these cases, the truth is irrelevant, which is true. Once an allegation is levied, the primary objective is to obtain a conviction. Think about that. The primary objective is to obtain a conviction. That's all that they're going for. That's all that they want, is to go ahead and just to put you in jail. Okay. They're trying to make it seem like that you actually did it. You have no leg to stand on. Once that stuff is out there, they just gonna keep on pow. It's just like when you down, they just gonna keep on kicking you. They refuse just to let you up. Like I said, it don't matter what you've done for the military. Being for 20 years, it don't matter what you've done. Okay, once that stuff is hanging over your head, it's gonna always be there. At the same time, they're trying to put more stuff on top of your head to try to weigh you down. That's just how it is. That's just how the system works. That's how the system works. That's how the system is designed to work. The system is always against us. It's always trying to make us look bad. There's so much stuff that you actually got to deal with. Like I said, when you go through this whole process, because you're not only dealing with hurt, you're dealing with frustration, anger, resentment, betrayal, any kind of negative connotation you can actually think about. That's what you're actually dealing with. And your mind is constantly spinning around in circles. Because, like I said, you just cannot believe this. You cannot believe that the stuff is actually happening to you. That's just the way the stuff it is. That's just the way that the stuff is. But at the same time, like these guys, they actually talk about, like they said, one accusation of sexual misconduct is made. The commanders, prosecutors, and investigators will swing into action against you, and you will experience the full weight of the government in its objective to obtain a conviction. Investigators start with a believe the victim investigative approach. Another extremely false narrative that exists is that women never lie about being raped. Women lie all the time. Matter of fact, right now as we speak, some woman is fucking lying about being raped. As we speak, right now, at 10:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7:51 Pacific Standard Time. Some fucking woman is lying about being raped right now as we speak. That's just what that's their nature. They fucking lie. You just can't get over this stuff. They said another false narrative that exists, okay, is that women never lie about being raped. In fact, the exact opposite is true. And the authors opine that the rate of false allegations of sexual misconduct in the military have reached pandemic levels. Now, for the last few years, we've been going through a pandemic throughout this whole world, right? This is just how the stuff is in the military, right? We facing a pandemic of liars about being raped in the military. That's just how serious this stuff is. I dare these people to sit up here and say that they don't fucking lie. But at the same time, they can't, the government can't say, oh, well, you're not lying. Because like I said, this stuff is here, just is designed to help them. They can't say, oh, well, I'm sorry, ma'am, you're not being raped. Yes, come on, man. That's just what these people do. Yeah, it's sickening. It's sickening. I tell you. One other thing that these guys said is truth is that no one knows or can say with certainty what the actual false allegation rate is. There have been proposals to try and quantify it, but anyone who suggested or vilified and there are virtually no legislators who have the courage to propose legislation to try and quantify it. The false narrative of the sexual assault epidemic in the military has served the JAG Corps, from being downsized. In fact, the JAG Corps now has a huge budget and no expenses spared to obtain the ultimate goal of a conviction. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, on top of that, I understand what the TDS lawyers are there for, the trial defense lawyers. They're actually there, they want to try to help you out as much as they can. But at the same time, you have to think, right? These guys have careers. They have careers and they have families that they have to look out for it too. And then it's like their raiders, their actual bosses are the judges who actually sit on the bench. So it's only certain stuff that they can say and stuff that they can't say. Okay, they have to try to protect themselves too, and it's sad. That's it. Oh my goodness, I'm telling you, like that's exactly how the stuff is. And they always favor the prosecutors. The prosecutors are the ones who end up being the all-stars. They end up being, the judges, and they end up getting these rapid promotions and stuff like this. Because, like I said, all they're trying to do is just convict you. They don't try not to serve a defense purpose. All they're trying to do is just trying to convict you and get you in trouble and defame your character and make you look like the worst person in the world. Like I said, you can have an unblemished record. All it takes is one. One. It's crazy because, like, these guys, they explain so much in detail how this whole process works. And I'm so glad that they actually, wrote this article, because this stuff needs to be said. Like, for example, like with the polygraph examinations, they say that some service members are of the belief that if they consent to taking a polygraph exam, it will demonstrate their innocence. This is not always the case, and especially an exam administered by the military. Military polygraph examiners are keen and experienced in extracting damaging information. Usually, following a polygraph exam, the examiner will follow up with you to clarify information gleaned from the exam. In a great many cases, this follow-up questioning is not designed to determine the truth, but rather to obtain incriminating information that will be used against you in a potential court martial. It is best to consult with competent legal counsel before consenting to such an exam. I tell you, everything that they do is designed to break you down. To break you down. That's it. So, like I said this stuff earlier in the podcast, and I'll say it again. The SHARP and EO programs are only there just to support the females. It's definitely not there to support us, because they don't care. It's not there, okay? They say throughout the spectrum of the Army, we're here for our soldiers, we care for our soldiers and everything like that. But like I said, when it all comes down to it, all they care about is just trying to defend that woman. They're not out here trying to help us out. They're not out here sitting up here trying to do what's right for us, trying to make sure that we're taken care of. Like I said, we are guilty until proven innocent. And I have very rarely seen a case get overturned. Like I said, the one case that I just explained is the only one that I've ever heard that got overturned. And like I said, and even that guy spent 2 years in prison before they actually overturned his case. Because I'm telling you, if the wife hadn't come forward and said anything about it, that guy would still be in prison to this day. It's how the system works. It's how the system works. But, it is what it is, I guess. They talk about like the articles, like Article 32 investigation. For a general court martial, an assigned investigating officer, usually a JAG lawyer, will hold a mini trial and hear all the evidence against you, including testimony, to determine probable cause to go forward to a court martial. The Article 32 hearing is also an opportunity for the prosecution to amend their charters to match how the accusers testified. All this stuff is bullshit, really. I'm telling you, it's straight up bullshit. It's like they go through the protocol of everything. They go through the protocol of, well, we're going to hear this out, okay? We're going to take into consideration what he said and stuff like this. But at the same time, these people already know what they're going to give you before all this stuff even happens. I'm telling you, the judges and the prosecutors, they already know what sentence they're going to give you before the court martial even happens. But like I said, they just going through the motions. This is sadly and unfortunately, almost all convenient authorities have capitulated to the shrills and screams of some in the legislature and extremely loud and demanding special interests. We're in a state right now where there are virtually no commanders or convenient authorities who have the courage to do the right thing and deny sending a frivolous and obviously false case to court martial. I'm so glad these guys are saying this stuff, like I said, because this stuff really needs to get out. This, mm, it said there are countless news stories that reflect this problem, and some have reached the highest levels of military leadership, including the highest levels of the JAG Corps. The authors could provide example after example, and besides the pandemic of false allegations in the military, another pandemic exists is the unlawful command influence. I said they are strictly influenced by the command, like the brigade and the battalion commanders. Whatever. If you try to sit up here and support, your NCOs or your officers or whatever, they can end up getting you unlawful command influence. Okay? Because at the same time, one thing that the military hates is negative publicity, right? Everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be picture perfect, squeaky clean. Everything has to look good to them. If the stuff don't look good to them, they don't want to support it. It's like, for example, right? One of my when I was going through my case, right, one of my friends was telling me, me and my first song was pretty cool, right? And so he was telling me that my first song, he was trying to help me out. He went through and inventoried all my stuff, helped me out, stuff that I might have been missing. He ended up paying for it, right? Because he know I didn't do what they said that I did. And it's crazy because battalion commander and the battalion XO had asked him, they was like first song, why in the world are you doing this for this guy? Okay. They're like, do you know what he did? He was like, first of all, he didn't do that. Okay. Second of all, I know him personally. Okay. I know this guy. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, I know that people lie. So at the same time, I'm going to do whatever it is that I have to do in order to make sure that this guy's good. I'm telling you, if they could have pulled him out of his position, they would have done it. Okay. They hated him for helping me out. But because I had this negative spotlight in my face, nobody was supposed to help me out. Everybody was supposed to turn their back on me. And like I said, 99.5% of the people actually turned their back on me when I was going through my court martial. But I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he actually saw the truth for what the stuff really was. I'm telling you. Unlawful command influence. So I said, anybody who's actually looking at this video, I hope that a lot of other people actually find this video, because I want you guys to really, really pay attention with what I'm saying. I'm not just sitting up here talking. I got 20 years experience in this stuff. So I just want you just to be very, very cautious. If you even consider going into the military, just be extremely cautious and pay attention to everything that I'm saying, okay? Because like I said, the same stuff that happened to me can happen to you if you're not careful. You're only one comment away from this stuff happening to you. And that's just real, okay? Let's go ahead and talk about the trial and the court martial, right? So on the TV, they talk about, TV is TV, right? This stuff is not reality. When you see what's portrayed on television, the military court martials are different, yet in similar in some ways than civilian and criminal trials, right? In the military trials, the JAG prosecutors, they will like a tremendous way to learn and discover any defense strategy and have the power to deny defense weaknesses. Unlike civilian trials, alleged victims are allowed to be present if they wish to view all testimony and evidence. Further complicating the problem is that the fact that only in sexual misconduct case the alleged victim is afforded a free attorney, a special victim counsel, and in most cases, as a de facto third, fourth, or fifth prosecutor can make objections from the spectator or public seating of the courtroom. All right, so I'm gonna go back and talk about this. So, JAG prosecutors, they try to learn and discover any defense strategies and have the power to deny defense witnesses, right? I think back to, when I was going through my stuff that I think like back to my stuff, you know, they tried to get me based off some stuff that I wrote in my journal about 4 years before this stuff actually even happened. It was oh my goodness. Like they tried their best to get me based off of, you know, stuff that I actually wrote in my journal. It had nothing to do. It had nothing to do, with the current case. But that's just how these people are. It'll tell you, like, they will try to dig up anything that they can on the past just to try to keep you in that negative light, right? For example, they said that the authors have spoken to countless individuals, service members, family members, and others who have been in attendance at these court-martial proceedings who rely somewhat of a kangaroo court atmosphere. In addition to yelling objections from the public seating areas of courtrooms, they are seen constantly speaking to and passing notes to from the actual prosecutors. You're not supposed to be doing that, for one. Another tactic used in sexual misconduct court martials can be considered witness intimidation or jury tampering, yet is ignored by most military judges. During the court martial proceedings, and usually occurring when a prominent defense witness is scheduled to testify or the defendant is scheduled to testify, the local JAG office will hold a so-called training day. During these times, which could be one or more days, the entire JAG office, or at least most of them, instead of performing their duties in their respective offices, will report to the courthouse and sit on the prosecution side of the courtroom. This has the impression, or could give the impression, that the defendant is guilty, and the case has attracted so much attention that all of these service members found it necessary to witness the proceedings firsthand. The panel members witnessed this, and their decisions whether or not to find someone guilty could be affected. If the accused is found guilty at a court martial, they are shackled in front of family and friends, which is true, and usually shipped off to a local county jail in general population, pending transportation to the selected military detention facility. Sometimes they may take weeks or months. Family and child contacts suffer as well as contact with their legal counsel. Yeah, that's so true. Like I said, once you actually get convicted, and once you actually, once the court martial is actually over, they read the verdict and everything like that, and they're gonna shackle you right there in front of everybody. Okay, and you know how it was for me. I got shackled. They end up taking me to the hospital to make sure I was good, kind of like a physical, whatever. And they end up putting me in the county jail. And I spent a few days in the county jail. Then on top of that, they shipped me off to Fort Leavenworth where I did my sentence, and I did what I had to do, and I was just done after that. Okay, but it's always good to know this stuff. Like I said, especially with you actually being an active service member. Okay, um, we about to go ahead and wrap it up, but we just want to finish it out with this. He said today the current military justice system is in a state of turmoil. The vast overwhelming majority of cases involving some type of sexual misconduct. In its zeal with these intense political pressure, the military is trying to portray that they are coming down hard on sexual assault. Yeah, that's what they say. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, the military is always trying to look out for the military. That's just what they do. The military is not about trying to help nobody else but them. Okay, and like I said, don't think that just because you're on active duty that this stuff can't happen to you, right? You're only one comment away from this stuff actually happening to you. And I hope that the stuff does not happen to you, okay? Because like I said, everything that I'm saying is the honest to God truth. All right? Straight up honest to God truth. And I just want to make sure that nobody else has to deal with this stuff the way that myself has dealt with it, or any other person that I know have dealt with it. Okay, it's a very, very uncomfortable situation. And I just hope that, like I said, nobody else has to deal with this mess, because this stuff is just the truth, okay? And this stuff it will make you think twice about actually joining the military, okay? So like I said, guys, catch this video, subscribe to the channel, okay? Because I'm going to continue putting this content out, okay? Because like I said, I want as many people to know about this stuff as possible, okay? So I'm going to continue putting this stuff out, all right? So I just want to get up out of here. Hey, thank you so much for watching. You guys take care. Have a good night.